Interesting. Okay, so here is the thing. I just checked in one of my closets here and I found this guy. So this is an ancient camera. I thought this was kind of cool. So I want to boot this up and see the image quality, because I remember I paid probably like $1,400-$1,500 for this thing, or it was over $1,000 anyway. And I was so excited when I got this, because compared to a lot of other cameras in that price range, it was like the best camera I could get my hands on at the time. And I was like so excited, and I completely bastardized this thing, because this is back before before DSLRs happened, before the 5D Mark II revolution of having interchangeable lenses and being able to record video. You know how that Vincent Laforet and I can't remember the other guy's name. There was another guy that really made it popular to shoot cinematic type videos. So all of a sudden we all had access to that. But before that, what we did is we take cameras like these and we'd put a lens, kind of a homemade lens adapter on the front. And what it was a little piece of glass that would be kind of ground down so that it was like a smoked kind of glass. And then we'd have a certain distance that have to be perfect with a lens on the front, like just I had an old Canon lens. Can't remember the name of the. I'm going blank here today. Can't remember the name of it, but it was not EF, but it was one of the lenses that Canon used to have before on their SLR, not DSLR, but SLR cameras. And anyway, it would take the light through like whatever it was receiving. It would turn it, obviously it turns it upside down because that's what lenses do, and it would reflect it onto the smoked kind of glass, and then this would be recording that. So we had like a whole bunch of lens things on the front of this. So I built that up, and we needed the image to be flipped because it was upside down. So what I did, and if you can see here, there was a hack. I can't remember what the hack was, but I remember I needed to burn a hole into this to put a little switch in there so that I could just press a button and I could flip it. So when I wanted to film just normally, I could film normally, but when I wanted to do it so that I would flip the image for me, because you didn't want to do in post, because everything in post was so much longer. And the other thing is your framing was all reversed. So when you went left, it went right, and it just really messed you up, and it was hard to even film things like that. So you did need to flip the image. So that's what that was about. So of course, once I did that, I blew up my warranty, and there was no chance of selling this to anyone. And the funny thing is I have a whole box of tapes, all DV tapes, and this is from around 9/11 time frame. I didn't get any footage of that. I was actually, I'm Canadian. I live in Toronto now. I live pretty much in this area, and I grew up in Montreal, but I got a job in IT, and I had been transferred down to Cincinnati. So that's where I used this a lot, in Cincinnati at that time. And then 9/11 happened, and I didn't apply to renew my visa. I just came back home. So I have some of my daughter's younger years on the tapes, but there was a tape in here. So I want to see what's on this tape. This might be kind of interesting. And just for whoever's watching, maybe nobody, maybe one or two people at this point, this is my first kind of live stream test. So hopefully the content is a little bit interesting to you, but the idea here is that I'm really just testing the tech and seeing. Right now I'm just running through my S20 Plus camera and using the YouTube app to just go live. I found that like webcams, they just look terrible. I didn't purchase the hardware to route everything through my main Mac Pro system here to go live stream. Now I can live stream from here, but I have to use a crappy little webcam, which I'm hoping to upgrade right now. I gave the webcam to my son. He's going to use it for his gaming channel. But I am going to buy another one, and then I'll be able to do that, have a little webcam content, as well as do my screen sharing. But right now I'm set up to do screen sharing on this unit. So I digress, but that gives you a little info on what's what my tech kind of setup is now and what I'm trying to test. So I'm testing this separately. I don't have a switcher system or anything where I could shift, between cameras and that, but I am kind of impressed with the quality of the video that's coming out of here, even though you can only stream by default anyway in 720p through this app. My setup on my Mac Pro, I can actually stream at 1080p, which is kind of a little bit better. And for screen sharing stuff where I'm actually trying to show you menus and that, I think it's pretty important to be able to see what's on the screen. 720p I don't think would cut it for a lot of the DaVinci Resolve stuff that I normally do. Anyway, so I got to put power in this because there is a battery on here, but I know that's not going to work. I just plugged in my adapter that was also in the box there. And now I'm going to see how this guy works. Of course, I can't cut away to footage or anything, but let's have a look together and see what we see. Two things I want to check is, one, I want to see what's on this tape. Secondly, I want to really compare the image quality, because again, I was so impressed before, but let's see, like when I first bought it, but let's see in today's standards what I was so impressed about, because I believe this is full HD as well, but as we know, as we've learned, full HD is actually 1080i. They didn't have 1080p back then on most of these systems, so that was a huge luxury. So anyway, let's see here. So the power's up, it still works. Let's first look at, I'm not going to look at the tape yet. Let me look at the camera portion of it and see the quality. Now you're not really going to see here, but I will translate what I'm seeing here. You know what? The dynamic range is so bad on this. I don't think I can get much closer than that. But yeah, the dynamic range is so bad on this. All the lights, everything's blown out so much. Kind of reminds me of like maybe one of the first or second generation, well, more like first generation GoPros. It's like that kind of quality. Yeah, not impressive at all. Wow. Man, you could literally buy for probably $29 like a little action cam or something from Walmart that would be much better than this. And you wouldn't have to deal with the tapes, because remember, when we had these things, we had to, go into a completely different mode, playback mode, and hit rewind after we recorded something. Wait forever for that to happen. And hit play. What do we got here? Oh, this was at a zoo. I don't know if it was a zoo in Cincinnati or if it was... I might see one of my kids there. Yeah, no, you can't really see that. Anyway, I won't bore you with that, but yeah, so some zoo footage. Probably from about 15 years ago. It was probably the last time I used this. That's pretty cool. Not all that cool. I got to get a capture card. So that's going to be my next step with this. It actually has some use. The reason why I held on to it, besides the fact that there's no way I could sell it, is that I had, like I said, I had a box of DV tapes that has a bunch of things that I had filmed, mostly family-related stuff. This is before I really got too deeply into filmmaking, but even back then I had bought, when I lived in Cincinnati, I went to the Apple store. It was one of the first Apple stores. They were opening, I think they opened in the States before they came up to Canada. And I bought, well, first we bought that weird colorful iMac. And then after I'd bought the tower unit, but it was still the G4, it was all that plasticized type tower unit. But when I had that, and it had FireWire, so that's how you connected this. There's a DV cable here, and you connected it through FireWire, and then because it's tape, you would have to play it, and real time you'd be playing it and capturing. And it wasn't even a capture card per se, but I guess it just did it through the FireWire interface. Now the cable that I have, I still have cables for this, but the FireWire standard that I have, I don't have that anymore on this. Well, it's still an old, this is a 2010 Mac Pro that I have here, all souped up and everything, but it still doesn't have that. It doesn't have the old standard for FireWire, and I'm not about to spend a ton of money there, but I do want to get a capture card so I can transfer all those old family tapes into digital format. I'm sure a lot of you out there have to do that sort of thing now too. But like I said, I just tested it. I looked at it. The quality of the video is terrible. And like I said, it was over $1,000 for this. And when it first came out, I was so excited. And I thought, this thing is amazing compared to everything that was out there. But then, 5D Mark II came along, and we were all blown away with that. So we dumped that old idea of trying to get lenses onto those smoke glass and recording through those kind of mechanisms that we had built up DIY, because that was our only solution. So we got into the 5D Mark IIs. We invested whatever money we could get our hands on to buy those. Everybody I knew bought those things. And then that whole DSLR market was born, and now mirrorless and everything else. So it started probably like 20 years ago when I bought this, 18 years ago maybe. But in the past 15 years, it has changed a lot. So like I said, you could go into a Walmart for 29 bucks probably and buy an action cam that does way better quality than this. Or maybe even less money you could get. That's probably about the worst quality you're going to see on any kind of standard today. Any Chinese knockoff cameras, whatever, are going to be better than this. And then it's also going to save to a digital file. So anyway, probably a little boring content. I just thought I'd have something to talk about while I did this live stream test and see how it went. And I'm going to look back at the footage and see where I can improve. And definitely, this is only a single camera setup with my cell phone, the S20 Plus, and we're using the YouTube app. But I am going to go over to this computer probably on one of my next tests, and also have a webcam set up so I can do multicam switching and that sort of thing, because I do have a much better setup using OBS software on this. It's open source free software where you can do live streaming from there to YouTube or to Twitch, whichever kind of platform you like. And you have overlays you can build into there. You can make your own overlays in Photoshop if you want, or you can purchase some. It's a great program for that sort of thing if you really want that professional broadcast multicam switching setup for free, really. It's just a matter of whether you already have the hardware needed, like a webcam and screen sharing. You can do right in the software. You don't need separate software for that. It's all built into OBS. And anyway, that's going to be it for this little live stream test. And thank you for the couple of people that showed up on here. And I realize I've been looking at myself most of this time and not at you in the camera. But we learn. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to shut down now.